Well, welcome to day 2 of my crystal journey. Thanks to Joy, white peacock woman, and some of what she's already been teaching me. The second day into my crystal work. At the first day, of course, you've read, I've learned that I could use the crystal or find its portal and put it on my third eye chakra, such that I could easily feel it go on and off like it was a switch. And quite fascinated with my little tabular crystal and learning that in a very short time with Miss Joy. The next day I happened to be playing with this crystal. It happens to be a water quartz amethyst. There are several bubbles trapped inside because of, as you can see, there's some facets that go into the crystal in some various places. And some of those inward facets have trapped water over time. And there's bubbles inside them. In fact, there's one right here that we might be able to see as it rolls back and forth. It's harder to find them sometimes. Let me see if I can get to where I can see that. Anyway, the point being is I'm holding the crystal, and I'm thinking about something that Joy had told me, and how I see her manage her crystals. And she treats them like they're precious little creatures and conscious beings. And it's very interesting seeing someone fully embody that. And so when I'm holding this crystal the next day, I'm thinking, okay, well, first I was finding its portal, looking all around. I was checking the top of the crystal, and after some time, I finally decided that that this face here was the way in. When I put this face against my third eye, it definitely changed the way it felt, and the frequency of that feeling. The flashing, when you're focusing on the third eye, it can increase. It definitely just turned on and off, on and off, on and off with this point. I had checked the others, including this one and this one, with not necessarily getting any response, but I did with that one. And I played with it on all of my chakra points, or chakra cones, I should say. And in doing so, I was able to feel each one and the difference between the right hand and the left hand. I'm still not quite sure what that is. I just notice I can feel a subtle difference. I can feel when it's there, I can feel when it's not. It is like a switch. Joy keeps telling me when I finally get to a little further, I get to find out what it's switching on and off. And things get really fun. So eventually I'm going to find that out, or figure that out, as it were, because her teaching is a lot of, well, here's a little bit of information. Now go see what you feel or manage from that. But it does move forward, and it's very, it's profound. I've been selling crystals online and known about some properties for over 20 years. I've got a customcrystal.com. It's the best crystal reference on the internet. Melody is a friend of my aunt's, and I have permission to use her reference, and I have been. This happens to be a crystal from my aunt, I believe. And my point being, that is a pretty one, isn't it? Well, my point being, and getting back to, is she treats these like they're creatures, like they're friends, like they're sentient beings, and that's the way to be embodied. The truth is, I understand that intrinsically. I understand the idea of that, but embodying it is different. And when you see someone else embody it, you tend to see a little bit of difference in how you've been handling it versus how you know you should handle it. Might be able to see that bubble going back and forth in there at the top. And so I was holding the crystal, and I thought, okay, well, that's what you're supposed to do. And when you're gonna give it a little squeeze and love, and I had it in both hands, and I kind of basically gave it a hug like you would a new friend or someone you don't know. You're just meeting it, saying hello and how are you and thank you and whatever you can show me and whatever you can give me and whatever's the right thing for me to learn, please, I'm here. And it's interesting because you don't necessarily expect a response when you try something like that. And I wasn't necessarily expecting a response when trying something like that. But I did notice when I put the crystal back to my third eye, it was much more intense. But that's not all I noticed. I also noticed that another facet, and this facet, and this, every single portal into the crystal, including a smaller one that is down here at the bottom, all of them opened up. So that the crystal now had 5 different points, or 5 to 6 different points on it, that if I placed it on my third eye, I would get the same switch effect, which I know I was testing all of the tips, facets, and so at least 2 more of those opened up that were not functioning before. And it seemed more useful, the energy, the more, I don't know, more intense, more, it's like a tingle, so it was a little more intense. It's hard to, it's really hard to process in the sense that you don't expect that, but the truth is there. There's a simple truth. It had one point that I finally found that activated on my third eye, and after a little bit of conscious attention, it had 5 to 6. So there you go. And the simple truth is if you want to test this, and I invite anyone to test this, go find your crystals, go pick one out that wants to play, and use the third eye technique on yodawasright.com. It's right there on the front page. It's an audio. It's like the first or second audio there. There's a meditation that follows that will get you to bliss if you ride along. But that third eye technique is part of that, and it allows you to focus your attention on that spot. And when you use a crystal on that spot and move it around, you will eventually find its portal. And you will notice a huge difference on your third eye and how it activates. And it turns on and off like a switch. And you're listening to a skeptic here in some respects, as I study science and quantum mechanics, quantum physics. I've worked in medicine for 28 years. I've shared this with even some doctors I work with, and had them take one of my crystals and find its portal, one that had done the third eye exercise with me before. And, within an hour or so, I was able to hand it back to me and go, here, it's right here. And sure enough. So there's a lot more going on here than most of us realize. And something as simple as how it can feel on a specific part of your body as a switch. Whether you think it has that potential or not, I invite you to give it a shot, and you'll find out it does. So, but hello. But just my second day, I was able to find out a lot more about what these are, simply by giving some attention, and more or less conscious attention and or love, as you would put it, to the crystal. And it was a different response afterwards, and I can't deny that. Hopefully you're seeing some of the bubbles move around here as I do this. There's a very good reason for it. And that was day 2 of my crystal process. There's a lot more to come and some amazing stories to follow. So thanks for listening. Thanks for joining, and I invite you to try what I have tried and see what you see with your own. They're quite expanding. And when you do find that point on your third eye, just kind of start with your left hand. Keep it there for a while. See what you get out of it. But be sure and stop when it tells you. You have an amazing day. Thank you. Namaste.